was reading Pat Riley, the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. But you're going to like this quote here. After the Trailblazers had blown them out of the water, and I'm sure he said this last night, they asked him, how do you feel? He said, tonight we were exposed for what we are right now. You see? That if my speech tonight doesn't work, it doesn't mean that I'm a bad speaker. It means that what I did didn't work tonight. And I've got to separate what I do from who I am. And I've got another shot. See, the last chapter to your life has not been written yet, and it doesn't matter about what happened yesterday. It doesn't matter about the things that you've done that you feel guilty about. If you wouldn't do it today, you're convicting an innocent person. You've been reborn to a new state of consciousness. And as they say, if we knew better, we would do better.
You know, everybody has a different temperament and personality, and it's something that has to be developed, over a period of time. If you're too shy, you should really learn to push that into a small corner and speak up more. If you're a little too loud, maybe you should, calm down just a little bit. But we shouldn't try to just radically become someone else. But that's what sophistication and civilization is supposed to do, is to make us civil. And to be civil in a civil society, we all must deal with that dark side of our nature, the positive side of our nature. And it isn't that it ever gets done or finished, but that we should suppress those things that would cause us trouble, not only within ourselves, but cause us trouble with someone else. It's a never-ending challenge, but to still always be who you are. But who we are is, you might describe it as dual nature. And the key to life is to become the most of the good in you and the least of the bad. So it's important also to see if you can't work on those things that, are not in your best interest, both in your thinking process and developing your plans for the future, or in your process of working with others, sitting at a conference table or being involved in an enterprise. That's a constant. When some become wealthy now, they have to deal with ego that didn't show its sort of ugly head until, the money was flowing like a river, and now this little gremlin on one shoulder whispers and says, now's the time, right, to, conquer the world and let everybody know you're the master. And sure enough, it can cause all kinds of problems. One of the greatest difficulties of wealth is, handling this issue of ego and keeping it under control. So we need to reveal who we are, but we also need to master the art of who we are presented as our best, as it serves us and our children, as it serves us and our friends, as it serves us in our business. But it is a constant and it never ends. But if we can make a personal appeal to ourselves, I want to constantly work on developing the positive side of my nature and do my best to suppress that darker side that would not allow me to be most of what I can possibly be. I think that's what's important. When a president becomes president, it's interesting, what ego might do. Old Testament says this king came to power and he was a good king. Then the next king came to power and he was a bad king. I think trying to find your passion is a little bit, maybe too strong a word. Greatly desiring to be extremely successful, I think probably is sufficient. But if you can find something you really love to do and can do it with great passion, I think that's fantastic. But I think being grateful probably is number one. If you've got a job, you got to be grateful. Say, this isn't the greatest job in the world, but even if it's a transitional job getting you where you want to go, you got to be grateful. You don't have to love your job or be passionate about your job, just passionate about staying steady, working hard, learning skills, doing this job so well that the next one will be even better, and taking such good care of this opportunity, another one will present itself. Sometimes the man says, well, if I had a good job, I'd really pour it on. But I've got this lousy job, so I just goof off. So that's not the attitude nor the philosophy. So if you'd really pour it on, this one, even though it may not be the best job in the world, if it furnishes a living, you have to be grateful. If it takes care of you and your family, you got to have gratitude. Not necessarily passion, but gratitude. But I think if you have an extreme desire to wish to be successful, so you can accomplish all you wish to accomplish, be as generous as you'd like to be as strong as you'd like to be in terms of financial strength, involved in entrepreneurial projects that you can't do without, let's say, sizable money, so you go for that. To me, I think that's sufficient. I think if you say you have to find your passion, people find that a little bit confusing. Where would I find it, and what could I be passionate about? I guess you could start with saying, I'm passionate about providing unusual success for myself and for my family, so that my children will say in the years to come, we had the most incredible life together as a family. Then I think the key is to let what you want to accomplish, let that grow. Where at first this is as far as you can see, but if you'll do that, you could say, wow, maybe I could multiply by 2, by 3, and expand my vision, accomplish a lot more. If you have an enterprise, maybe you could make it stronger and better and more far-reaching. Let that happen. It's difficult to figure it all out and then get that done. We just don't do that. We can figure out the next little part of our life that we can see, and then we can say, well, eventually I'd like to have, and let those dreams linger somewhere in your consciousness. I say, make a list of all the things that would give you the most incredible life. Just make that list. What would do it for you over the next 10, 20 years? Places to go, things to see, people to meet, books to read, skills to learn, investments to make, being generous. Make lists of all the things that you think would make for you a really fantastic life. And at first, don't worry about how to get it. Just let your mind run free and think what would really do it for you. And then just begin and let those lists alter. Because sometimes you start for something and then you say, sure enough, I thought this was really going to be everything I wanted. Sure enough, this is really not it. Or I can see now, long before you are going to accomplish it, I'm investing too much money and time and effort. So you change. And anytime you want, you can tear up your whole list and start all over again. Some people say, I made the list so I have to accomplish it. And the answer is no, you don't have to do it. It's your life. It's your list. You can turn it upside down, right side up, scratch off some things, put some new things on, or start all over again. Don't let it become an obsession. Let it become an enticement. Better to be enticed than obsessed. Or we might invest too much effort and time in something that's not really going to turn out to be as great as we thought it would. The old prophet said, sometimes things that taste good in the mouth later turns bitter in the belly. We think, oh, this is it. Sure enough, it was a bit of an illusion. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Right? One of the lines is, they are illusions. They're not the solutions they promised to be. But that's a learning experience, and we can only be affected by what we see. Someone says, well, you shouldn't have devoted so much of your time and energy. But if that's what you could see, only that at the moment, we're going to do it, and we just learn as we go. We need a collection of experience to give us good data on what to do, what not to do. Sometimes you need more experience to make a wiser decision. If a person says, well, I've eaten junk food now for a week, but look how strong and healthy I am. See, that's a delusion. 1 week is not going to give you the right kind of information about how you feel, whether it's a good idea to continue or not. You need a lot more experience than that to decide whether or not it's good for you. I used this illustration once with the candle lit, talking about having enough experience to make wise decisions. And I said, would all of you agree that the fire will burn my finger? Let's say that I don't know that, but you're trying to teach me now. If you put your finger in the flame, it will burn your finger. I say, okay, I'm ready to try it. So I put my finger in the flame and take it out, fairly quickly, in and out, right in the flame and out. And I say, look, my finger's okay. Let me try it again. And I put my finger in the flame and take it right out. And I say, my finger's okay. Where did you get this idea that the flame would burn my finger? And they say, no, Mr. Rohn, you can't just go like this really quick and put your finger and take it right out of the flame to know that the flame will burn your finger. You've got to leave your finger in there just a little longer. Say, oh yes, then I need a little more experience to make a wise decision. Say, well, I've taken this cocaine and I feel okay. But see, you don't know the end of that road. This is only the beginning when it seems to be okay. But you need more experience. Now, if you don't have any personal experience on cocaine, then you've got to go to someone who has and says, look, 20 years of my life was wasted and I finally turned it around. Like some of the old rock rock and rollers that have turned it around. Amazing. I was in Paris the other day, had 20,000 in my class. Also in town were the Rolling Stones, who rolled into Paris and stopped for a while with Mick Jagger and all the rest. These guys got through those treacherous days of drugs and alcohol, somehow made it. A lot of them didn't make it. Boy George said, I woke up one day and all my friends were dead. That's enough experience. So maybe if you haven't had enough, you're just getting started.
A few months ago, one of the executives in our department left on very short notice, which, needless to say, really put our department on the spot as there was no one to replace him. The day he left, the vice president of our department, who is my boss, called me in and told me he was going to try and divide up the work amongst a couple of the people in the department. The two people he had already spoken to did not want the additional responsibility. They didn't exactly turn him down flat, but they told him that they were very busy as it was, and they didn't exactly volunteer. So he asked me if I wanted to handle some of the overload. Well, I've always made it a policy of mine to never turn down anything that looked like an opportunity, and that's what this looked like to me. So I said, yeah, I'll take the whole job. He looked pretty surprised, but I think he was pleasantly surprised. After he left my office, I got together with my secretary and we did some work on my incoming and outgoing phone calls, where all the incoming calls were taken in the morning and the outgoing calls were taken in the evening. And my secretary also took on a lot more responsibility and a lot more of the chores herself, which she was very, very happy to do. And after about 2 weeks of this, my secretary and I were handling twice the calls, twice the meetings, about half again as many personal conferences, and the work week actually seemed to go a lot faster. Last week the boss called me in again, told me the board was very happy with the work that we've been doing, and offered me a new job, make the job permanent with a new title and a raise to go along with it. So I guess that shows you that necessity is not only the mother of invention, it's the mother of opportunity as well.
I wanted you to hear that man's story because it illustrates one of the best ways I know to stimulate creative thinking. In one word, capacity. In any endeavor you choose to pursue, the success formula is first, do what you do better, and second, do more of it. Improve both the quality and the quantity of your output. That second part means increasing your capacity. Remember our analysis of time excusitis? This is where you can put that cure to work. There is a two-step procedure that can show you how. First, always eagerly accept the opportunity to do more. It's a compliment to be asked to take on new responsibility. Accepting greater responsibility on the job makes you stand out. It shows you're more valuable. Now the second step is this. Concentrate on how can I do more? Ask that question, and creative answers are certain to come. Now, some of these answers may be better planning and organization of your present work, or taking intelligent shortcuts in your routine activities, or possibly dropping some non-essential activities altogether. But again, the solutions for doing more will appear when you ask the question, how can I do more? Earlier, I cited an old business axiom. If you want something done, give it to a busy person. I personally refuse to work on any project with someone who has plenty of time. The lesson I've learned from painful experience over the years is that the person with plenty of time generally wants to keep it that way. He's more interested in avoiding responsibility than he is in increasing his output. All successful, competent people are busy. All the successful businesses I know are busy. These businesses constantly ask themselves, how can they increase their output? Now, why not ask yourself the same question? How can you increase your output?
Capacity is one tool for success. Another is the skill of listening. In any organization, whether it's government or business or the arts or any other endeavor, listening becomes more important and more prevalent the higher you go up the executive ladder. The more responsible the position, the more likely the person holding it is to be a good listener. You will never find an executive in any healthy organization buttonholing someone in the hall and running down all their problems to them. That's the tactic of a mediocre person, the one who's envious of the power and success of others. If you have a conversation with a high-level executive at work, you'll probably find that the executive encourages you to do most of the talking, while he or she does most of the listening. That's the mark of a leader. Success-minded people tend to monopolize the listening, while small-minded people tend to monopolize the talking. The reason for this is that a leader in any field is a kind of human decision-making machine, and for that machine to work, it has to have raw materials, and the raw materials for making decisions are the ideas and opinions of other people, in addition to one's own. Other people won't provide answers and solutions, but they will provide the grist for the leader's creative mill. So if you walk into a top-level meeting at General Motors or the White House or the local school board, you'll most likely find that the person in charge is listening to what others have to say. That person knows that listening is what will give them the information they need to make tough, important decisions. To develop your own listening skills, try this procedure. First, encourage others to talk. In personal conversations or in group meetings, draw out other people with phrases like, "Tell me about your experience," or "What do you think should be done about this?" or "What do you feel is the key point here?" This will give you two important benefits. Your mind soaks up raw material that you can then use to produce creative thought, and you'll also win the friendship and the respect of others. Next, test your own views in the form of questions. Let other people help you smooth and polish your ideas. Use the "What do you think of this suggestion?" approach. But don't be dogmatic. Don't announce a fresh idea as if it were handed down to you on a golden tablet. Do a little information research first. See how your associates react to the idea. If you do this, chances are you'll end up with a better idea. Finally, concentrate on what the other person says. Listening is more than just keeping your mouth shut. Listening means letting what's said really penetrate your mind. So often, people pretend to listen when they're really not listening at all. They're just waiting for the other person to pause so they can take over the talking. Concentrate on what the other person says. Evaluate it. That's how you collect mind food.
This is who, my mother was a Sunday school teacher. What you want me to be? What? My mother was a Sunday school teacher. She taught church Sunday school. That's what I was raised in. What else I'm gonna be? What? But I have to come in places that are different and let you be who you are. Because I am not right and you are wrong. You are right. You are 1,000% correct in Islam. Islam is 1,000% correct. It's your faith. How can I say different? My faith works for me. It is for me. It is in my heart. It works for me. My God has to judge me for me. Your Highness told me yesterday, he said, I can't repeat everything because it's very private, but he's such a brilliant man. He understood. He said, man, there is a heaven, there is a hell. How you get there, that's up to you. I just want to go to heaven. My life, I had enough hell. I don't want no more. I just want to go see heaven. What it is I'm assuming some of us is going. I'm assuming some of us ain't. You just have to decide. I'm thinking about going though. Now the room kind of got a little tight on this subject right here, so we're going to move past this. I was just telling you who I am. That's who I am. If you can accept that about me, I can accept it about you. Huh? And yesterday, my man Jay, he bought a tailor to my room, and I got, how many did I make, Jay? 4? They making 8 caftans for me. So tomorrow, it's caftans? 8, they made 8 of them for me. So tomorrow, I'm gonna have on my caftan tomorrow. I'm gonna be rocking the caftan when you see me tomorrow. Yeah. I haven't quite figured this out yet. I don't know. I've been trying to work that out. Cause a lot of y'all like the way y'all do it, like the dude right there, he got his cocked up on one side. I like that. Then the other dude, he got hit, and one dude had his pulled over. I said, woo! So I gotta figure my style out, you know. But I have my caftan tomorrow. I'm gonna have it later today, so I'm gonna be nice.
I think Steve's gonna start some fashion trends in the UAE tomorrow. Steve.
Yeah, I kind of messed up though because I was trying to get some more stuff put on it, you know, some embroidery, and he told me you cannot do it. I wanted to put some, you know, some designs on it. He told me I can't do that, so I'm gonna have to. I got one white one, but I got a lot of other colors. Just wanted to try something other than white. Y'all see me, I'm gonna have on a blue one. I got green, yellow, gold, blue. Oh yeah, don't worry about that. This Steve Harvey, I'm a star. Don't worry about that. I'm gonna look different. Everybody going, no. Yeah, somebody gotta do it.
Steve, you are a star. Now the successes continue. It doesn't seem like you're going to stop anytime soon, to be honest. So is it fair to say you can never be too successful? Is that a fair statement? When does it stop? When is it okay to stop?
Well, that's up to the individual. I think in my line of work, If I retire, what do I do? What? A lot of people retire and they just wither away. They dry up. They sit. I've seen old people retire and they just start folding up. They stop going to work. They stop living. I don't know that I can do that because I'm different now. I'm a motivational speaker. I travel. I'm taking my foundation to Africa. If I stop doing that, what I'm gonna do? You know, I was talking to my sons one day. One of my sons is here. And I was telling him, I said, one day I'm gonna stop working. You're gonna take over. I'm gonna be on a yacht out in the middle of the ocean. I want you to send my money to me out on my yacht. He said, okay, Dad, I'm gonna send you your money. Then I got to looking at him. I said, he probably ain't gonna send me all of it. So I probably need to keep working.
Mr. Leroy Washington did something for me. He started planting seeds in my mind that enabled me to begin to dream, as Dexter has been doing for you. And ladies and gentlemen, I started working on my dream. And most people don't work on their dreams. Why? For many years I didn't. One is because of fear. The fear of failure. What if things don't work out? And the fear of success. What if they do and I can't handle it? The other thing is that most people, ladies and gentlemen, they get comfortable. They stop growing. They stop working on themselves. They stop stretching. They stop pushing themselves, and they end up becoming very cynical about life, and they throw in the towel on themselves, on their families, and on their dreams. And the other thing is that most people don't feel worthy. What I'm doing now, I could have been doing years ago. But because I did not have a college education, because I didn't believe in myself, because I allowed other people's opinion of me to control my destiny, I didn't act on my ideas. So I applaud you for your dreaming, for your running toward your dream. I applaud you for believing in yourself, because that's what life is about. Stretching and challenging, looking for ways that you can begin to improve yourself. And ladies and gentlemen, as a result of stretching out, of acting on my dream, and I don't know what that dream is for you, I can tell you that it's possible. No one could have convinced me that after just over 6 years, I will have my own book entitled Live Your Dreams. Just over 6 years, I will have 5 specials on public television. Just over 6 years, I've done motivational speaking for AT&T, Procter & Gamble, McDonald's Corporation, Xerox, IBM. Just over 6 years. I will now have my own talk show that will premiere on Monday, Labor Day. I'm saying to you, your dream is possible.
I'm wealthy because of my friends. It's one of the greatest wealths of all, friendship. Those wonderful people who know all about you and still like you, right, friends? I just lost a friend. David died 2-3 years ago. He was the one I used to talk about. If I was stuck in a foreign jail accused unduly, if they would allow me one phone call, I would have called David. Why would I call him? He would come and get me. End of story. That's what you call a friend, right? Somebody who would come and get you. Next, I said I'm wealthy because of what I've learned. I'm wealthy from the people who have taught me, from the Earl Schoffs of the world, and from other people that have made a contribution to my intellectual discovery, that have helped me to refine the track I live on, for good health, for prosperity, for all the things valuable. Can't put a price tag on someone's book or someone's conversation. Someone who gives you knowledge when you need it the most. When you can't think of the ideas, your head is so clouded maybe with despair, and the clouds of difficulty hover near. This is when you need somebody to whisper valuable information in your ear that helps you to survive and then to finally succeed. What is that knowledge worth? You can't put a price tag on it. What's this seminar worth? You couldn't put a price tag on it. The cost of the seminar pays for the lights and the room and somebody like me to come and the staff and all the other things. But the price of the seminar can't be the ideas. Here's what we have to do. Charge you for all the stuff, and then the ideas are free. Because how could you put a price tag on the ideas? That would be impossible. If you read a book that spared you from having a heart attack, what would it be worth? Someone says, $19.95. Say, no. That's what it costs. That's what it costs for the cover and the ink and the pages and the words and getting it to you and the brokers and all the stuff in between. That's the $20. You couldn't pay for the ideas. They're free. Key thing I've learned. Never begrudge the money you spend on personal education. Because if you can keep developing your mind and your perception and your awareness and your ability to discover, the fortune is yours. The health is yours. The promise is yours. A good family relationship is yours. Friendship is yours. Everything is yours. If you keep accelerating your education, it's the best money you can invest in your personal self-education. Next, I said, I'm a wealthy man because of my future. You can't believe the people who say to me, Jim Rohn, what do you want to do in the future? We've got the wealth and the resources to do anything you want to do. What do you want to do? Do you know how unbelievable that is? What do you want to do? Incredible. Well, I was lucky. I wasn't searching for a mentor, but one just sort of fell in my lap. A friend of mine said, you've got to meet this guy I've gone to work for, Earl Schoff. He's rich, but he's easy to talk to. He's got a unique philosophy of life and business. I said, okay, yeah, I got to meet this guy. And then I met him. He invited me to join him in his business and became my mentor. I got the sense right away he delighted just as much in other people's success as he did his own. That caught my attention right away. Then he had the ability to look into the future and see the possibilities that I couldn't see. I can't remember how often he said, trust me. I'm telling you, trust me. Here's how it will go if you'll stay steady and do it right. See, that was great mentoring. Then Bill Bailey. We've been associated in business and projects for many, many years. Bill's unique. Bill can read a 200-page book in about 20 minutes and then tell you about this book and make it more interesting than if you read it yourself. And from his Shakespeare acting to his boxing career and then the Navy and his business career of wealth and productivity. Years ago, of course, he was the big game hunter, the larger-than-life character. It's just been my good fortune to know him all these years. On the second bottle of wine, down on our goat farm in Kentucky, where we're in business together, we wax eloquent. He's a great conversationalist, and I ask a question and he poses some possibilities that I never thought of, and I'm sure I do the same for him. It's great to have that kind of interchange where you kind of wonder together about things. So this could be a possibility, this could be an answer, who knows? Then he's written his own poetry that's unique, and his studies and his concepts are valuable for me. But best of all is simply the friendship, chance to get together, not just share ideas, but just enjoy unique life experiences. And then my parents, you know, they were unique. My father was remarkable in his bit of philosophy. He said, always do more than you get paid for to make an investment in your future. That's a pretty good seminar in itself. My mother was more of a reader and a scholar and taught me well, gave me a great foundation. Primarily gave me just a great place to live and a great place to stay and learn and grow. Then the sense that when I did leave home, that no matter what happened, I could always go home. So you better treat me right, I can go home. Who needs this? I just had that attitude, not to be arrogant, but I just had that unbelievable confidence that no matter how things turned out, whether it turned out right or went upside down, for my mom and dad it didn't matter. I could always go home. Mom would bake me biscuits and cook me oatmeal. That relationship was just really unique. It was great between my parents. They had, 65 plus years of marriage, so it was long. But then they gave me that incredible sense of security and caring that whether I did it right or did it wrong or upside down, it really didn't matter, that home was always a place you could come and get some rest and think things through and work it out and then go back and conquer the rest of the world and see what you can do. There's really not much better sense of security than that. And of course now they're gone and I'm an orphan. I haven't got a mother and a father, but the lingering influence of my growing up years plus that kind of security and tranquility and sense of refuge from a busy world and out there doing the best you can, and that they truly loved me when I was rich and when I was poor, broke and struggling, and when I did well. And then they enjoyed my success and the applause and some of the experiences of being recognized. They enjoyed that. So it was great. I would wish the same kind of experience for everyone. And then I counsel parents to the best of my ability, provide that kind of security and framework for your children, that they feel comfortable even though they misstep, cross the line, get in trouble, upside down. If a kid gets in trouble, guess who he wants to call? His mother. You know, she'll come and get me. Papa may say to the sheriff, well, leave him in jail overnight, but not Mama. No, if she's there, she'll come and get him.
The scripture says God hastens his word to perform it. That word hasten means quickly, speedily, in a hurry. And I'm not saying that we don't have to wait. There are things that take time. What I'm saying is when you don't see anything happening, it looks like what you're up against is never going to change. When you come into your destiny moment, God will do it speedily, quicker than you thought. You'll accomplish a dream in a fraction of the time. That obstacle looks permanent, suddenly it turns around. That's God hastening his word. 2 Kings chapter 7, the Israelites were surrounded by the Syrian army. They had cut off the Israelites' food supply. Now the people were starving, just a matter of time before they died. Every circumstance said it was permanent. The enemy army was bigger. They had more equipment. All the odds were against the Israelites. But there were 4 lepers sitting outside the city gates. They thought, we have nothing to lose. We're going to die anyway. Let's go down to the Syrian camp and see what they're doing. While they were walking toward the enemy, the scripture says God caused the Syrians to hear the sound of speeding chariots and galloping horses, the footsteps of a vast army approaching. The Syrian king thought the Israelites had hired several armies to attack them. Verse 7 says, the Syrians panicked and fled into the night, leaving all their horses, tents, and belongings. What was that? God causing their enemies to hurry out of their way. Seemed impossible.